There's something about when a guy pays with cash that's the hottest thing.
I mean, I think as a guy, you should absolutely always have cash with you. You're going to coat check and like you don't have cash and then it's like, sorry, we don't take card. Like as a guy, you feel a bit like an idiot. You never know where you're going to go and if it's going to be like cash only. So just to be safe, even when you're at a bar and you're getting a drink, sometimes it's easier to just pay cash because you're not like, we got to wait here. We got to wait for my card. Like it's just the idea of knowing you're kind of free once you pay and like you can kind of hop around easier.
Okay. You have a whole mentality behind paying with cash.
Chemical X.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Chemical X podcast. It's your girl, Veronica.
And your other girl, Alessia.
And as usual, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about this episode. Give us your feedback and also give us 5 stars on all the audio platforms.
So normally we come on this podcast and I would say like 95% of the time we bash men.
90.
Okay, we bash them, but then we also give them the tools to not be bashed.
Right, exactly. Which is great. It's so nice of us to say, you're an idiot if you do this, but don't do it and you won't be an idiot. So it's like, I actually think we're nice.
But then our list of things that make you an idiot, I think are so long that I think that you will still fall under the category of being an idiot.
Yeah. And if you don't like do it proper exactly how we want it, which we might not even give all the details, then you're still an idiot.
Yeah. So we understand. We're here to tell you we hear you.
We hear you.
We see you.
We get that you've been feeling attacked, but we also know that you've been coming week after week to find out what to do right. So now in this episode, we got a little treat to throw you, okay? This week we are flattering your egos because this week we're talking about green flags for men.
And non-sexual turn-ons.
So listen, if you want your ego stroked or if you want to be leaving insecure because you have none of these, then listen, it's either stay or go. I don't know what to tell you.
Should I stay or should I go now? Yeah, so it's going to be tough.
Like it's going to be tough. We
you
usually
know why it's going to be tough though? Because every time we give an example of what a non-sexual turn-on, we have to explain it with saying a negative.
Green flags too. You know, it's always like
to say green flag, we're going to say what a red flag is. So then I feel like we automatically fall down that, category of going negative again. But we're going to try really hard. That's the game today. It's like, let's try and be so positive that we don't even go negative.
Well, I love men. I know on this
I love men.
I know on this podcast, sometimes it comes off that we don't like men. But at the end of the day, I love men.
Yeah, we love men and we need them.
We need them. So
if that ever got misconstrued, like, we're fucking sorry. We love men. We need them. There's definitely differences from men and women, and together, powerhouse.
Yeah, powerhouse sounds like a sex house. I mean, it is.
Whatever it is. Someone the other day was like, "Do you only talk about sex on your podcast?" And I was like, "We talk about so many things, but I love how men choose to just watch and like they obviously probably gravitate towards the things that are sexual, so they automatically assume we're literally a sex podcast." But I was like, "No, we talk about so many other things."
I actually feel like we don't talk about sex that much.
And then I was like, "Okay, so what do we talk about?" We talk about how we hate men, how we love men, what to not do, what to do, what to not do, what to not do.
Our shitty experiences with men.
But anyways, today is going to be catered to you men and women because I know the women want us to let the men know.
Well, also, I think for a girl, too, it's important to also be able to assess what a green flag is and what a red flag is. Like, it's not just for the guys listening. Like, as a girl, you want to know, is this a red flag or is this a green flag? So we're here with our 0 years of experience to tell you what a green flag is in a guy. But first of all, I want to say something. There's, like, I know over time we've tried to, like, I feel like in a way we've tried to break down the barriers of like masculinity and femininity, but like there is a sexiness to being a masculine man. Like I don't think it's bad to be a masculine man. I think that there's a lot of things that men do that are inherently masculine that are attractive. Like, and that's why we're gonna get into like non-sexual turn-ons and just things about guys that are like hot.
Yeah, like even what you were saying to me the other day, you're like, when a guy just like sits
when a guy just sits like a guy
with his legs open, doesn't care that his fucking dick is like just chilling, like he has nothing to prove. Like, a woman can never sit like that. We're so like, me. But it's so hot when a guy's just so comfortable in his body that he's just like, whatever.
There is, and I'm not talking about like the obnoxious shitting that it's like, okay, but like just
here we go.
Like
we couldn't just leave it at that.
You know what? Sorry.
The game is over. The game is over.
When a guy sits and is just so like relaxed and kind of like legs open and just like I'm gonna do it on camera. So if you're not listening on camera, then like I'm sorry. I just when they sit like this and they have that little lean, I'm like, okay, well, listen, are you flirting with me?
Yeah.
Well, why are you flirting with me in public? That's so crazy. There's kids here. Stop. Don't flirt with me like that. Close your legs. Whore.
It's so
there's
fucking
just
true,
little
though.
things that are just so hot.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through our list for each of us. I feel like we have some that overlap. So every Jules has been spoiling us with jewelry, and it's made my life because suddenly every time I need that cool ring, that nice bracelet and just stackable because it's affordable. And that's what I love so much about them, you know, because I feel like most times you get like one piece of jewelry and then you're like, okay, well, I'm just wearing this single necklace.
Yeah. And especially with clothing, we get annoyed that we have to rewear our clothes. Mm-hmm. But at least with jewelry, we get to switch it up. So like it's a different look, you know?
Yeah. And also, guys, they recently opened a store in Carrefour Laval. So if you want to shop in person, you can also go check them out there. And their jewelry is all designed by them. And it's actually super waterproof because I'm a lazy bitch and I shower with all my jewelry. And it hasn't tarnished literally at all. Literally, I've been wearing this bracelet. I even said in the last episode, I'm not taking it off. And it's just really great quality for such an affordable price. So go check them out in store or online and use our discount code
Chemical X at checkout to receive 20% off anything on their website. Yeah, for sure. I think the leg one is 100% every girl could agree. Like it's one of the hottest things.
And also on that note of like mannerisms, so the way a guy walks can be like really attractive. Like if a guy walks and is like, it's because you know what? I keep trying to say a negative. I keep trying to say if he walks like this, it's fucking ugly. Yeah. But like, I just think that sometimes when you see a guy walk and he has such like a confidence and like almost swag to his walk, but not like too much, or you're like, okay, buddy. But like just like that confident walk.
The guys who are listening are like, I want to do the proper walk. So tell me and explain to me if you're going to tell me that that's a green flag.
I think it's just about being confident. So if you feel confident and like, you know, like you're not slouching, like you just feel
like
confident,
you're owning your body.
Yeah, you're owning yourself. I feel like that's the hot walk. It's not a particular thing. I think for each person, it's their own thing.
Right.
But sometimes just people, you know, I also think if you try too hard, that
and like
gives the opposite effect of looking confident.
I also think though that sometimes there's certain guys who walk so straight and like they got this that it almost looks like there's a stick up their ass. Here we go, negative. But it's almost like, okay, relax.
Yeah.
Like take that stick out of your ass and just walk normally.
I just think like walking with confidence and ease is sexy. Like,
and when you're walking with a girl, just always make sure that the girl's on the inside and you're always on the outside.
Yeah.
So if anyone gets hit by a car, it's you.
100%. I also, this is controversial, I'm just throwing this one in there, but like as a guy, like why are you rushing? Like slow down. Like I don't need to be with a fast walker, you know what I mean? Like we'll be good. Like I want to be the fast walker. I want to be like, babe, come on, let's go. Like why are you walking so fast? Where are we going? To see your next bitch?
Absolutely I actually hate when guys walk so fast.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I hate when I'm trying to catch up to my man.
Guys, we're literally
I know but I have to, it's like as a girl, we tend to have shorter legs. We're shorter than our man. So when you're trying to keep up with somebody already, it's like a struggle. And then like, if they're such a fast walker, it's like, hey, like.
Honestly, I could attest to that because I'm a little bit taller than you and I'm still a slow walker.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like because you have longer legs, you're like walking faster. It's not a thing.
Okay.
It's not a thing.
I guess it's just fast walkers.
Yeah.
Versus slow walkers.
They're always like on a mission to go somewhere. Yeah. It's like, where are you going?
Like, let's chill. Like, let's be okay. Another. Well,
guys, I just we should have like a beeper every time we go negative.
Another non-sexual turn on for me is when a guy is like really chilled with time. So for an example would be like, let's say we're running a little late for our reservation. Like if it's like, go fast, go get out of the car and go tell them. Like it's like, whoa, like I think we could take the extra 2 minutes to like both get out of the car and like walk together to the restaurant. Like I think it's hot sometimes when like somebody is not rushing you or not like so pressed.
To bounce on that, when I went on a date recently, he was like, hey, like I'm downstairs. And I was like, okay, I'm coming. I love the extra like no rush.
Right.
And like we're late. By the way, we're late.
Yeah.
But no rush.
Yeah. I love a good no rush.
It's like, oh my God, I have another like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. Which you don't. You have -5 minutes.
I have -5, but thank you for allowing me to feel like I have
5. 100%.
It just makes us feel like more at ease.
Well, yeah, it's like I don't want to feel stressed. So if you're stressing me,
especially going on a date, you're already stressed. Like
I think that's so sexy when a guy is like calm about things. It makes me calm, and that's like a turn on for me. Like if I feel calm in your presence, and if I feel
we adding to the list right now?
We're off-roading, by the way. This list, I've said maybe one thing that was on the list. But like when you're confident, wait, what was I gonna say?
When you're calm?
When you're calm, it makes me feel like you have everything under control, and it makes me feel like I don't need to worry. And like even if there's no reservation, like no stress, that's the hottest thing. Because it's like I don't need to worry in this situation. Whereas normally I would worry and try to like make sure everything's happening. It's like, no, you got this. Like we're good. So
but what if he's acting? You know what? Even if you're not calm, just act calm.
Just act calm.
Because I'm sure on a first or second date, you're probably not as calm as you want to be.
Right.
It's not like when you're comfortable with someone, it's like, yeah, let me go try and see if we can get into this reservation. It's like, no, you have something to prove. So you might not be as calm, but like just act it. Just fake it.
But I think always it's still sexy, you know? Like
absolutely.
Obviously, once you get comfortable with somebody, it's like, okay, babe, go get a reservation. Like I get it. But I still think that energy of like no stress, like let's go together. You know what I mean? Like I still think there's like that element of like making me feel comfortable and not making me feel rushed. Like,
so you want them to lie at the beginning?
No, I want them to lie the whole time. The whole time through the relationship.
Because you're like, after when you get used to them, just babe, go get the fucking reservation. I know what you mean. Like, guys, can you keep that up? Like,
I feel like that's when it's a turn on, when it's like kept up.
Yeah.
Like, let's be chill. Like, let's be chill.
Yeah.
But then I also get it. Like sometimes it's like, now we're 30 minutes late for the reservation. You know, like please go in while I look for parking.
Yeah.
So like, I don't mind being the one that walks into the restaurant and checks for the reso. You know?
Yeah. One for me that's literally the hottest thing ever is seeing a guy with a kid. Like when he's so good with a kid.
Right.
Now I'm bringing in all the baby daddies. I'm like, hello guys. I love myself a kid. I just think it's so hot.
You want it to be their kid or like
no. It doesn't have to be their kid. It could just be a niece. Just they treat them well. They bring them gifts. They're always like playing with them, sports. You know, like just that vibe.
That ease with children.
Of just like, wow, I'm picturing you as a father, and it's the hottest thing,
right? Because
I'm seeing the way you would be if you had a kid.
Well, like I think it's cute when a guy is like even likes kids, you know?
Yeah.
Like, another one that I guess is a little bit stereotypical, but hey, sometimes you got to be stereotypical on this podcast. But when a guy's like good at sports, and you know what I will say, even as a girl, I think it's like also attractive when a girl's like really good at sports too. Like I will say that, you know what I mean? Like you see like a girl like that's so good at sports, like wow, like that's a hot girl, you know? But like a guy who's like,
do you think guys really, really like a girl who's athletic?
I think there's a lot of guys that do like girls who are
interesting,
athletic, you know? And
because I never thought of it as something that someone might like of me. I think I just called myself athletic, but like I'm just saying, like I never really thought. What do you mean? I played soccer my whole life.
Don't age. This is my favorite joke with Alessia.
You're so annoying.
When did you finish playing soccer?
Maybe like 18, 17.
Okay, that's cool.
But like it never gets out of your system.
But I'm just saying, like I do think there's a lot of guys that find it attractive when a girl is athletic.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying they have to be captain of the
it
football
could even
team,
be like, but just like going to the gym.
Yeah.
Playing badminton.
Okay. I was like going to the gym, not sure if that's athletic.
You know, playing gymnastics. I did gymnastics.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, there's different sports, but I do think it's still attractive on both ends. But for me, like a guy playing a sport, and I'm going to specifically go out and say soccer.
I mean, Veronica, you don't have to tell me that.
All these guys are going, no, I need to learn soccer. I need to learn soccer. But there's something about soccer.
You know what it is? It's the short shorts, it's the cleats, and it's the high socks. God damn.
Yeah. It's
and
also like,
the body types of soccer players is very different than like football players or hockey players.
I find soccer players are more aligned with my type.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like every girl has their sport. Like they either like hockey guys or like basketball guys or football guys. Like I'm really a soccer boy girl.
I've always been and I'll never change. There's just something about soccer players that they're also like they're hot. I don't know why their faces are even hotter too. And they always have like nice legs, good arms, but not like fucking Hulk arms.
Right. Like they're kind of like lean built.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also I think I like watching a guy who's good at sports. You know, I think that's so attractive. Even if they're not like playing competitive soccer or any competitive sport, it's just like a guy who's good at sports is so like attractive. And it's like, wow, like
well,
you're
just like take off your clothes.
Damn, like you're good at sports. Like,
yeah,
that's so hot.
It's so hot. Like, babe, I'll come watch you.
That's the hottest thing. Like, I'll be the girlfriend in the stands. I'll practice to be, as
Veronica,
I said,
you before soccer, it's tennis, right? You said.
I said I like tennis more.
No, but you said tennis over golf. Right.
Tennis over golf. For me.
But soccer over tennis.
Soccer over tennis for a guy.
Come
for
on.
Sure. I actually remember my first crush in the world. I used to have the biggest crush on my tennis coach when I was like 4. I was like fully in love with my tennis coach. I'd be like, wow.
Well, I lost my virginity to like a soccer player. So like somebody
never change.
Yeah. Like soccer players are hot. Anyway.
I've been the soccer girlfriend on the stands a couple of times in my life, you know?
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? Like soccer, it's there's something about sports. The thing about sports is like it's so manly, it's so hot.
But you almost feel like that housewife before even being the housewife. Yeah. You're like, hey, I'm coming to see my man.
But like the thing about sports is like it's so hot and so manly, but like as soon as you see your man like slip or fall or like get tackled, it's very like I'm gonna close my eyes here.
Yeah, like babe, I want you to play soccer and I'm coming and watch and I also want you to win.
Well, yeah, and you're also not allowed to fall, you know.
Pressure.
Or like sometimes when the ball hits them and they do like an awkward thing and you're like, I'm trying not to get the ick.
Oh my God. But you know, I used to play soccer and I remember my ex came to watch and I was so stressed. I was like, I like have to play my absolute best because
your best.
I was manifesting. I'm like, I need to at least score. Like he came to the game. I really need to impress. And I literally remember I scored from a corner kick, which is like almost impossible because like the ball needs to angle and like curve into the net, right? Because you're doing it anyway. And I scored and I was just like, honestly, this game could end like.
You're like, I'm good here, guys. You good?
I'll
clock out. 100%.
Imagine though you go see your man after and I'm like, did you see? And he's like, no, actually I was at the washroom. And you're like,
well, there's absolutely no pressure like your girl is watching your game pressure.
Yeah. It's very different.
You better win.
Yeah.
You better be better than everyone.
I'm sure men feel that pressure for
100%.
sure.
Nobody wants to be the worst on the team if their girls come.
Nobody wants to be benched. Anyway,
sports hot. I think even if you don't play them regularly, but you just like know how to like handle a ball, hot.
Handle a ball or balls?
One ball. Ideally just one ball, if you don't mind.
Another one for me is when you're at dinner. You know, obviously we've spoke about, you know, handling the bill, getting up, not making the woman feel like, like, is he paying it? You got to say thank you. Like just getting up and handling it so the woman doesn't even see the bill come, especially at the beginning. That's hot. But another one that's super hot is when you're eating and they take it upon themselves to like feed you. I'm not talking feed like open up, airplane. I'm just talking like
that's, by the way, awkward.
You're talking, they're listening to you and they're just like
putting in your plate.
Because I think men don't realize as women, a lot of times they want to do just drinks and not dinner at the beginning because they're stressed about their just like eating on a date. You know, like will they spill on their top? Will they get it on their like side lip? And
you know, like
how they look. They're trying so hard to be pretty that I see the pressure for a girl and how like men don't really understand it. So that little pressure you take off of us by just putting it in our plate is already like 50%. Like now I just need to grab the food
and put it in my mouth.
I put it in my mouth and not miss my mouth, which is very hard for me. I literally eat, I open my mouth and it literally goes to my ear.
Yeah, no, I find that so attractive. And I also like it when it's done in, like you said, not in like a baby way, but just in like a
not even like a do you want.
Yeah, just serving me some and making sure that I have and like just like cutting it for me, putting it on my plate. Like I find that so hot.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that needs to be like cut or done, like just do it for me.
Yeah.
You know, like I could just sit here and wait for my platter to be made. That's hot. These are all little things. We often talk about how like for a woman, like turning them on is like starts from like the morning and like every little thing you do with them. And it's so true. Like
what you do with them. What are we
how
puppets?
you treat them. But I just mean like it's all the little things you do in the day and like how it makes that girl feel that makes them so turned on at the end of the day. Let's just say, you know, like for us, it's all these little things. It's like doing the little gestures of like feeding, like that's so hot. You know?
Little knickknacks.
Little knickknacks here and there.
We've both been saying knickknacks lately. It's going to be our merch. Knickknacks.
So another one for me is tattoos. But like, yeah. But like also I find they have to be like nice tattoos.
And you know what I've been really liking later? Nothing goes past us. When they're scattered.
Yeah.
You know when it's
looks.
Like, yeah, there's different looks. Like I've in the past been really into like the sleeve and I love like a bit on the leg. You know, just everywhere.
Yeah. Guys are like, fuck, get a sport, learn how to do a sport, get a tattoo.
No,
Get
not
many tattoos.
get tattoos.
Get tattoos. Tattoos. SSSSS. I'm not picky with how I like my tattoos. I just like, as long as like they look good. You know what is an actual turn off for me?
Watch me marry a guy who doesn't have one single tattoo.
100%. But
that's not fair.
I'd rather a guy have no tattoos than have like tattoos that I know they went to the tattoo shop and picked out of a book and said this one. You know what I mean? Like I like it. For me, I think the tattoo thing is also the creative side of it. And like, I feel like if you have like, not necessarily a story behind your tattoos, but like just like cool things and things that you're interested in. And that's why you chose those tattoos. I think that's hot because it's like you have, you know, a creative mind, you have interests, you have passions. I think that's so sexy.
Have you met people who were you were like, just like that tattoo doesn't match you? Like, I don't feel
I know some guys who it's like they got tattoos that were just so like just to get tattoos, just to like have tattoos.
Like, give me an example. Because I feel like any guy I've ever seen with a tattoo, I feel like they own it and it's hot. Like, I've never been like,
yes,
I don't like your tattoo.
I think it's just like in the past, like I've spoken to people who are like, yeah, I'm gonna get a tattoo. And it's like always like this like generic. It was like this generic
I feel like you're
thing,
low-key calling me out though.
You?
Yeah, I am. That's me.
What do you mean? You don't have a tattoo?
I know, but I've been that person. Like, I really want to get something. I've been Mykonos.
No, but
it's
not about. I've done that same thing. All my tattoos are random, but I'm saying guys who will get a sleeve just to get a sleeve and fill it up with like garbage. Like it's like there's no like
depth.
There's no depth to it. And I think like it's hot. I'm not saying it always has to be, but I think it's just hot when a guy has depth to the things that they choose.
Yeah. In the same beat though, it's so annoying when someone always feels like they're expecting a reasoning behind every tattoo.
Yeah,
because that's really annoying too. Is like,
what's
maybe
the
I just
meaning?
liked it. You know, I don't feel like everything needs to have such a meaning. But I hear you.
And I'm not saying the meaning behind it. I'm just saying like, it's hot when you have like the creativity behind it, and versus just getting a tattoo just to get a tattoo to fill up your arm with like knickknacks. You know what I mean? And I will say, just to specify,
you know which one really bothers me?
What tattoo?
When they start putting like, there's no creativity. It's just like family members. But like it's done in like a heart, because you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like just like random names. It's not even done in a way where it's like you took another language and made it a little more spicy.
Right.
It's just like Anthony, Maria. It's like, okay, put it in Italian at least.
That's everyone's first tattoo, you know. But my specific like turn on with tattoos is neck tattoos.
Oh, Veronica?
Neck tattoos, and that I can accurately say like non-sexual turn on. Like when I see a neck tattoo, it's like that's the hottest
Veronica
thing I ever saw.
Neck tattoos, back tattoos,
hand tattoos.
Nah, that's not in mine, but leg too.
Like I mean tattoos anywhere, but my specific is neck
and like back of neck, back of neck.
It's so hot. So it's the little like shut up.
Well, it's just
you're
like
flirting with me
it's
again.
So
like,
bad boy.
Because a neck tattoo is like, and I know this is so fucked up to say, but usually people don't tattoo their necks or their hands because that's how it's like unprofessional in the workspace. So a lot of people will like keep it where you could still wear a shirt and like be clean,
like my ex who did a full sleeve but then stropped it like 3/4 just so that he can roll up his sleeve. Like, don't get a tattoo if you're not gonna go all the way. Like,
and that's why I think there's that little like attractiveness to a neck tattoo that it's like it's always there, you know? It's like hot.
You know what? Actually, I'm here like not really agree with your whole like some people who just get tattoos to get tattoos, but like we think about my ex who got his fucking ex's name on it. Like, get a fucking life. We spoke about this 2 years ago,
right?
And then he like tried covering it up with like a flower or something, and I'm just like, shut up. You should have thought a little bit more before you did that. But like, when are you getting my name?
100%. Another thing that I like too is I've always said this in the past though, but is nose piercings. That's for me is like the hottest. You're automatically at the top of hot guys for me.
Yeah,
like I'm just really into those little. Like that's like wow.
Yeah,
but I think that's just my personal type. So does that count as like a non-sexual turn on?
Yeah, for sure.
I guess, for me.
You know what? It really counts because I'm not someone who's going to come out here and say like, I need him to have a nose piercing. So that's definitely like a preference of yours.
Yeah.
Like I can stop at the tattoos. I don't need to go like full bad boy. But you know what it is? What's also really hot about like guys with tattoos is they're normally the sweethearts.
Oh, I've never met a guy with tattoos that's actually like rugged. And you know what I will say?
It's
no,
so true.
I'm lying.
And I think that's what it is. It's like you think there's this bad boy. And you know what? Look, sometimes they are. But sometimes you're like, they must be a bad boy. And then they have like the biggest heart, kindest person. And you're like, your tattoos don't match you.
Well, I actually realized over time that like majority of guys who like get tattoos are actually little bitches and get tattoos to like make them seem more like whatever.
Like, I'm a tough guy.
But like it's rare that you find like a guy who's actually like still like hot and like carries himself in that hot way. Like I've met a lot of guys, or this is the best. You know a guy, you grew up with a guy and you know exactly their personality, and then they get full tatted and you're like,
I know the real you.
You know? Calm down, Joey. I know who you are deep down. You know what I mean though? Like it's like, I know who you are with your neck tats and your hand tats.
Yeah.
Like, you're not scaring me.
But like also let him self-express himself.
I'm letting him in 100%. And there's going to be a girl that's going to see him with fresh eyes and be like, that's the baddest boy.
Yeah.
But I personally know that he's not.
Yeah. So another one for me is going to actually contradict.
Because that's what we do on the Chemical X podcast,
yeah,
is contradict.
Good style. Because let me explain, okay? Because I really like a guy with good style, and it's really something that I think is a big turn on. But I'm also okay with not having it. That's where I feel like I contradict, because it's something that I can fix.
Right.
So I'm not gonna not date a guy because he dresses like bad, because that's fixable. So, but also it's a sexual turn on, and like when someone already has that, it's fucking hot.
Yeah.
Or just like they don't do something that's crazy.
Yeah.
You could only do something crazy if it like matches your personality and you almost own it, and it's like you're confident in it.
Yeah.
Then it's like it won't bother me at all, and it's like that's who you are, that's your style, and like it fits you. But do you ever feel like sometimes guys do something or they try something and I'm like, oh, it's not you?
Rarely though.
Okay,
I feel like
but
I rarely see a guy go outside their
for
comfort
sure
zone.
And I think that's why like good style for a guy, it's really not that hard. Like you're going on a date, I always say like all black, you're never like, no one's ever gonna be like, you dress shit.
Yeah.
And I think guys are lucky like that. Like they could just do black pants, a black boot, or like a regular sneaker, white, anything, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's hard to fuck up.
I mean, I'm the same way. For me, I don't know if we've ever spoken about our personal types, but like for me, style is really important. And I always say it's about having personal style. Like I think it's so hot when a guy knows how to dress for himself, and like he just knows how to dress for his body, and he just looks confident in what he's wearing. Like that's so hot for me. And it just tells me that you know yourself. And for me, like when I see a guy who like doesn't really know how to dress, I just like, you don't really know yourself. You haven't developed in that sense. And I obviously like fashion. I like style. I like creativity. So it's something that's really attractive to me when a guy knows how to dress himself and just like looks good. It's just like, it's the hottest thing when I don't have to tell you what to wear. You know, like I find that's really attractive.
So I totally agree with you, but I also will take a guy if he has everything like I'm looking for, then, and style's like not one. But now I'm thinking about it. Normally the people I'm interested in have good style. So like,
but it's like never like, I'm not going to say, okay, if he doesn't have tattoos, like, you know what I mean? Like there are things that are definitely turn ons and like personal taste. Yeah. But also they're not things that are like big enough that you wouldn't date somebody because of it, you know?
Yeah. Do you remember like maybe like 3 episodes ago, I was like, I always love when a guy is like, I like your style. And like maybe that has to do with me liking a guy who knows style enough to like appreciate mine because he dresses well. Maybe that's where it kind of comes from. But it's like some guys, it will just go past them and they'll be like, whatever. Like they're not looking at that. But a guy who can like appreciate it normally dresses well too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
I just like a guy who like knows how to dress for himself. I think that's hot. It just shows confidence. It shows like,
we're also giving tips here. We're like, if you don't know how to dress, just keep it simple. You only really, and I spoke.
Guys don't need to go.
There's certain things I hate and like I know still happen and guys do. And it's like one, penis shoes for me. Another one like Havana tops, like things that are just so out there. And it's like, oof, easy boy.
Yeah.
So men, when they get ready for a date, they don't have to do much. But as women, we ask for literally the bare minimum. So if you're not even doing that, then it's just disappointing.
Right.
And when we say bare minimum, we mean brush your teeth, do your hair, and shave your balls.
100%. Not like, you know, necessarily you're gonna get laid on the first date, but we always like to be prepared just in case the opportunity arises. And that being said, if you want to be more prepared than ever and, you know, winning against the competition, then you better be using Manscaped because they are the best in below the waist grooming for men. So join over 2 million men worldwide that use Manscaped.
I think it's even more now.
better be more with all these listeners. So guys, they have everything from a ball trimmer to a nose and ear hair trimmer, the weed whacker. They also have a full beard kit that just came out. So go check. It's actually called the Beard Hedger. So go check out all the packages they have, all the different products they have. I promise you will find something. And I personally love Manscaped products.
Under the sea.
And their cologne, which is called Persevere. You can also get in a body wash scent. And I actually love this scent so much. I keep making my boyfriend use this body wash because I'm like, it smells so good.
It smells really good.
Really good.
Yeah. So guys, Chemical X at checkout to receive 20% off anything on Manscaped. So you know what to do. Add to cart, add it all. I mean, guys, come on. So Chemical X at checkout for 20% off and free shipping.
So our next, I want to like speed up to the next one. So let's just list off our last ones because I have a couple here that don't need to be explained. You know?
Yeah. My last one was like just compliments you. We love a guy who compliments you. I think that's a sexual turn on. Obviously, when it's excessive, it's like, okay, it loses the meaning. But when someone compliments you every once in a while, hottest thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'm gonna list off the rest of my non-sexual turn-ons. So good driver. That's super hot when a guy is a good driver.
Every guy is a good driver.
No.
Or my experience, at least.
Maybe.
Really? Have you had a bad experience?
No. I mean, I've been with people that were not good drivers, but
really?
I think being a good driver, like I think there's like normal drivers and like there's also that hotness in like a good driver where I feel really comfortable. And like, I know that even if you're like maneuvering or like speeding, it's like, I feel safe because I know that like, you know what you're doing. I don't really like a reckless driver that you're like, ooh, like, I know you're like pretty good at driving, but like, I don't trust you in that way, you know? So I think for me, like a guy who's really good at driving, like I find that's hot.
Okay.
When they have a toothpick in their mouth.
Wait, hold on. Do you prefer when their seat is like really back?
You're talking to them and they're in the back seat.
They're literally so back. It feels like, bro, do you even have control of the wheel? They're almost trying to be so casual. It's like, fuck, drive. Put your seat up a little bit. Like, relax.
Can you even see the road?
Jesus. Some guys are so chill that I'm like, reckless driver.
Be a little less chill. Next one, toothpick in mouth. Self-explanatory. Hottest thing.
Yeah, that goes with tattoos, soccer player, good body.
Hottest thing. Good dancer.
Okay.
So like that one's like, look, it's not necessary, but it's so hot when a guy could dance.
But you know what they say? Good dancer, good in bed.
And also not afraid to dance.
That's why you want to date a stripper, Veronica.
Maybe. Also not afraid to dance. I find that so hot. Like I find it like when a guy is like,
it's like, oh, I don't want to go on the dance. Like, I know, like, babe, like I don't want to dance. It's like,
come on,
take a salsa course.
Like, let's go. Okay. This one's controversial. It used to be a sexual turn, like a non-sexual turn on for me. But I've changed my mind on it. But like smoking used to always be like, I used to find that so hot. But then like you date somebody and you live with someone who smokes and you really get a different, point of view on it.
Okay,
so
attacking.
I'm just gonna settle with shisha. So like I just think like sometimes like the chillness like of smoking. I'm not here recommending to smoke. I just think sometimes it's hot. Okay.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? But then there's a difference between like, I don't know, dating a smoker really changed my mind on the whole cigarettes thing. But like I'll settle with shisha. I think shisha is hot.
Because there's different type of smokers. Like a social smoker that only smokes when he drinks. Mm-hmm. Totally cool with. You're right. Like every day it's like, oh, do you even work out? Like, do you care about your body? It's like those kind of things. But shisha too is hot. Yeah. I agree with that.
Hot. And my last thing on the list is random, but uses cash to pay. There's something about when a guy pays with cash that's the hottest thing.
I mean, I think as a guy, you should absolutely always have cash with you. That's like, especially at the beginning. Yeah. You like lose your manhood if like you go somewhere and you're with a girl and you're going to coat check and like you don't have cash and then it's like, sorry, we don't take card. Like, as a guy, you feel a bit like an idiot. Like, always carry cash with you, just a little, just to be safe. You never know where you're going to go and if it's going to be like cash only. So just to be safe, even when you're at a bar and you're getting a drink, sometimes it's easier to just pay cash because you're not like, we got to wait here. We got to wait for my card. Like, it's just the idea of knowing you're kind of free once you pay and like you can kind of hop around easier.
Okay. You have a whole mentality behind paying with cash. I like it every once in a while. And
and I'm there like, let me explain.
Yeah, hold on. Like, let me explain why. I'm also not saying bring around fucking 6 bills, everywhere you go, but just like having cash on you is hot. It's nice.
Yeah, but like bring 6 bills because you never want to be the guy who takes it out and you also have like $20 and then
you count and then you go, actually, I'll do card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You realize you don't have enough. It's just hot when somebody pays with cash. It's like, it's so hot.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the end of our non-sexual turn-ons. I mean, the list honestly goes on. So men, sometimes you do something right. I will say that.
Yeah.
But those are my little things that I guess personal to me, but probably for other people that are just like,
say, Veronica,
hot.
you're little.
Knickknacks.
Knickknacks.
So next, green flags for men. And I feel like it ties in a little, you know, in
You
this
think?
vibe. You think? Based on this list? But there's just certain things, especially dating in the beginning. You know, we always say like, look out for these red flags and like be careful of these things. But I think the same could go for green flags. The only thing is that I find green flags can be faked a lot more than red flags. So I think like red flags, you know right away that it's a red flag and it's like, oof, like this is not a good sign. Whereas green flags, I feel like people could fake it. Like they can act this certain way and it's like, oh, what a green flag. Like he did this. But then you realize that it was just kind of like a show from the beginning. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like tricky with green flags because it's like, yeah, it could be a green flag, but also like tread with care, you know, like you never really know what could happen there.
I totally agree with that, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you could agree with me on our podcast. So actually the way that I came up with this topic is somebody had asked me on Instagram to talk about green flags for men. And I actually gave one. So we can start with that point.
Okay.
So my personal biggest green flag for a guy is when he does what he says he's going to do. And that's so attractive, also non-sexual turn on, but such a green flag when you'll tell me you're going to do something and you actually follow through with it, because it shows so many qualities about you already that it's like, you know,
you're a man of your word.
You're a man of your word, and like, you know how to plan certain things, and like you're not over promising me things, and you're not just like smoke and mirrors, like you're actually doing what you say you're going to do. And that personally for me is the most attractive thing, because it just makes me believe you more and trust you even more when I actually see your actions match what you say, you know?
Veronica, can't tell you how true that is, because at the beginning, I feel like when you're starting to talk to someone, whenever they kind of pull through, you go, you're there with your fingers crossed, and you're like, okay, he pulled through. Because as women, we're always like kind of testing you. So when you do it once, we're like, okay, 25% trustworthy. Then you do it again, it's like 50. And then by the time you do what you say you're going to do like 8 times, you're going to feel like you're in a relationship where you're not having to.
Or be worried. You know?
You're not going to have to convince, sometimes men will be like, I always have to reassure my girl. And it's like, look within, and the reasons why you have to reassure is because you let her down in the past.
Right.
So if you're trustworthy at the beginning, and eventually you're never gonna have to reassure you, because she knows you're a man of your word.
And the reality is, it's actually such small things. Like for me, it would even, and we don't even realize it, but for me, even like the smallest thing would be like, yeah, I'll text you when I get home. Or I'll be like, text me, and they'll be like, yeah, I'll text you. And if you don't text me, automatically I'm like, because I feel like you're promising me something and you're not pulling through with it.
And that's like such easy, basic etiquette.
Exactly. And it's so simple. And the fact that I'm asking, or you're telling me you're going to do something and you don't do it, just makes me second guess and be like, okay, like now I have to be like kind of like on the lookout, or just not on the lookout, but just it puts that little seed of doubt. Or like if you say
you're just more negative towards it.
And if they'll be like, oh, like what are you doing on Sunday? Like maybe we could do brunch, or like I'll let maybe we could plan something. You're like, yeah, for sure, let me know. And they never let you know. They never follow up on that. It's just like, okay, well, it just feels like you're talking and you're not actually doing.
And I think that's so important. Oh my God, I literally feel so strongly about this point.
This is why I could make this whole episode.
I honestly feel so strongly about this, because you have an option to not do that.
Right.
So don't plant the seed in a woman's mind if you're not even sure you're going to pull through. Look, it's normal in life. You don't always want to like be like, this is what we're doing, like sometimes you could be unsure about a situation. And in that case, just don't plant the seed.
Right.
And if you are planting a seed, make sure to follow up and be like, look, like something came up. Because sometimes I feel like when someone's not following through with a plan, they'll just kind of ghost or like ignore.
Right.
And then that's when it's worse.
Right.
Because then the woman has like anger towards you. Whereas like at least if you let her know, you're showing her you respect her.
Exactly.
And the second a woman doesn't feel like they're respected, that's kind of when it goes downhill.
Yeah. And like, so true what you said. Like, even if you can't exactly do what you said you're going to do, at least acknowledge that you're not doing it, because I think that's the most important thing. I think people will sometimes not be able to do what they said they were going to do, but they just
like
ignore
things
it.
Come up,
Yeah,
like, we
things
get
come
it.
up, but then they ignore it and they don't actually address that they're doing it. They're just like, oh, like maybe she forgot about it. Like, it's not a big deal. Let's just forget about it. But the idea of like addressing like, hey, like I know I said we could do this, but I just realized I have this or whatever. It's just showing like, hey, I know what I said and I was going to do it, and I respect your time, and I respect that you might be thinking we're doing this, And I think that's the hottest thing, you know, and that's also another green flag, is just somebody that actually respects your time and respects you, obviously respects you, but somebody who's aware of your time, you know. I feel like a lot of guys, especially in the dating stage, they'll kind of be like, yeah, maybe we could do something for this, or maybe we could do something for that, or like, oh yeah, like would love to go skating or whatever, you know. And they just like make this kind of quasi plan that as a girl, or as, I guess, but yeah, as a girl, you kind of like mentally reserve that time. So like now if anybody's going to be like, hey, like what are you doing on Saturday? You're like, oh, well, I'm not sure. So like I'm not going to plan anything because like I might be doing this with this guy.
Yeah.
And then when they don't pull through and don't respect your time, even though necessarily like you had the option to plan other things, you just like chose not to. But the fact that they didn't respect your time enough to even let you know like, hey, this is not happening, or like let you know the plan, like that for me is so disrespectful.
I think,
you know,
for any girl, there's so much that goes through our mind, and it's not like a guy who just picks up and go. As a girl, we think about like, okay, let's say we have a date Saturday, then we're literally from Monday planning when we're washing our hair so that it's the best for a date. Like 100%. That's just for somebody to understand like the amount of like effort we put in and the things we think about in order to
and like
be ready for a date. Like nails, tan, when to wash the hair, like it's all
little
these
things.
It's
that they
little
don't think
things
about.
that we are doing subconsciously. That like if you aren't gonna pull through with a date, or like you're not gonna let me know, then yeah, like I start thinking you're not a trustworthy person.
Yeah. And it's all these little things that like can so easily change my mind about somebody. And maybe you don't like absolutely think it right away, like, oh, it's because he didn't pull through with this. But I just think it's definitely a green flag when a guy does pull through, does always do what he says he's going to do, and really does respect your time. I think it's so attractive when a guy will like, even if it's like a little plan that he mentioned, even if he'll follow up on that and be like, hey, by the way, either we're doing this or we're not. I think that's so attractive because it just shows like you value my time. You
it's
really
so
do.
True. Like just I had a fling with a guy a couple months ago, and the problem that I always felt like we were having is that he would say things and he would never pull through with them. And I think eventually I was just like, it's so crazy because you have so many of the things I want on paper, and the fact that you keep yapping and you don't pull through just like made me so turned off by that person. And it's like I was no longer able to look at them the same way.
Yeah.
It's like
a big thing.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah. And it changes the entire dynamic of the relationship. Like in my past relationships, I felt that where like somebody was always promising me things and not pulling through with them. And then in other aspects, you start not believing them and start not trusting them. Even if it's over small things, you actually start to not trust them anymore, because the next time they're going to tell you something, you're going to be like, well, like I'll see, like when I see it, I'll believe it. You know what I mean? And that's a hard mindset, because the reality is trust doesn't have to do so much with seeing it to believe it. It has to do with like actually trusting that that person is whatever they're saying, or like hasn't done whatever they're saying.
Yeah.
And when you already break that trust, like little by little, by not doing what you're saying you're gonna do, it backfires in those other situations, you know?
Another one for me is definitely like treats his parents well. I feel like you could really tell a green flag in a guy by how he treats his parents. I feel like if he like talks back to them, or like just doesn't have good manners, or like will treat his mom bad because his mom might have said something, like I go, oh, okay, ooh, like I don't trust you. I don't trust the way you're gonna speak to me. Like even if you're being nice to me, let's say, but I see the way you're acting with your parents, your mom, your dad, I would be like, okay, so the way you're acting with me is actually a front, because eventually that's how you're gonna treat me, the same way, because we tend to treat people the way we treat our parents.
100%.
So the same thing like we say with like waitresses, when he treats his parents well and takes care of them, then you know you're in good hands. So it's definitely like a turn on.
I totally agree. And I also think like obviously not everybody comes from a good family and has a good relationship, but I also think it's just like the way they go about that. And like you're saying, if they do have like a good family and whatever, and you're just talking, especially to the mom, I think for me is like, obviously because as a woman you like look at their relationship with their mom the same way you would for like a girl with their dad. And like if I see him just being like rude and disrespectful to his mom, I'm just like, I don't know, like that rubs me the wrong way, you know?
Exactly. And that same rule goes for an ex-girlfriend too.
Yeah. But actually what I wanted to say before we move on to the ex-girlfriend thing is a lot of people have trauma based off like their parents. and like we tend to mirror the way like let's say if like our mom made us feel a certain way, that trauma ends up coming into our relationships, because like as a man, you know, if your mom made you feel a certain way, you bring that on into your relationships, and you're looking at another important woman in your life, and those same things might trigger you with what triggered you with your mom. You know what I mean? So like that's why it's so important to look at those relationships and be like, what's going on here? Like, what's the trauma here? Because that's going to mirror absolutely in your relationship, you know, when it comes to how you're doing things with your partner, because you might do something and like for them, that's like, oh my God, my mom used to do that. Or like my mom made me feel this certain way. And it's like such a trigger for them as like the woman in their life, you know?
Same rule applies for an ex-girlfriend. If you are shit talking your ex-girlfriend, I really do not trust you and I don't want to date you. I think regardless of what happened with your ex-girlfriend, I think you should always speak highly about them. That was someone you did love at some point in your life, even if you don't anymore. And I think she deserves that respect. And also it speaks a lot about you because you dated that person. So at some point, like you had respect for them. So like that should never change regardless of what they did, regardless of what they put you through. I think it's so, and I've seen it so many times with guys where it's like they think they gotta like bring down their ex in order to kind of put you on a pedestal. And it's like every girl is literally going, okay, in their mind, all they're thinking is, okay, so if we were to break up, you would treat me the same way you're treating your ex-girlfriend, and I'm not into it.
Yeah.
So no.
And also like for me, it's like when a guy says, yeah, my ex is crazy, I'm just like, what did you do that made her crazy?
Yeah, I hate that.
Mean?
It's never one-sided.
It's never one-sided. Things are never one-sided. And I think like it shows a lot of maturity if you're able to be aware of like where a relationship went wrong, and not, obviously the more you go into a relationship, the more they open up and be like, I didn't like this about my ex, or like this was fucked up, or like these are the fucked up things that happened to me with my past relationship. But if you're starting off the bat with like such negativity to your past relationship, it either tells me you're not over it, or like you just don't have respect for anybody that's out of your life in that moment, and like that's not somebody I want to be associated with.
Oh my God, amen.
You know?
Preach, sister.
So this one I had actually said in the past too, kind of goes with the ex thing. And it's obviously not a prerequisite, but for me personally, it is a green flag when a guy has had a long-term relationship in the past. And I think the idea there is just I don't need to teach you how to have a long-term relationship, and you kind of know how long-term relationships happen and like certain things that change throughout a relationship that I feel like for somebody experiencing for the first time, they're like, what's happening? You know what I mean? So for me, it's like a really green flag when a guy has experienced that and has committed to somebody for a long period of time. It makes me feel like, okay, you could do this, and like you're capable of committing to one person for a longer period of time.
I think that's such a green flag. I think it becomes a red flag when someone hasn't had a relationship, because I think once you get into a relationship, you start realizing, you know, there's compromise, know what the expectations are. You kind of know what your downfalls are. So you know what you're kind of like having to fix, or you're at least aware of them. And I think you don't realize that when you're not in a relationship. You only realize, I think you only realize that when you're, you know, dating. And also a little like side note is, I know as women, a lot of the times we'll kind of like hate an ex or be like, you know, like, fuck this girl, or like we just feel that like competitiveness. But like sometimes it's just to think about all the work they kind of did for you. Like when you kind of look at it in that light, it's actually like, thank you so much. Regardless of if it was things that they did that were good or bad, like, thank you. Because if they were bad, then he's gonna appreciate the good things you have. And if they were good things, that like, let's say, you know, it's hard for someone to change when someone's asking you to change, but sometimes like it gets instilled in their mind only once someone gets left.
Right.
You know, like sometimes when you leave someone, then they start like caring about their body or like doing all the things that you kind of said. And that's a lot of the times why people don't even leave relationships, because they're like, I know I put in all this work in trying to change him, and I know he's going to change once I let him go. But like that literally goes for our entire society. So like what you're doing, the work you're putting in, another girl who is doing that work for your future guy.
Yeah.
So like, let's stop hating on like ex-girlfriends, and let's start appreciating the fact that they're literally doing the work for you to get him in better condition. But isn't it such a
so
weird
true.
thing?
It is so true. And I do, it's such a good point of view.
It's also like how you look at things,
yeah,
you know?
it's a really good point of view. And I also think sometimes, like, if you think about your man and be like, would I have dated you before who you were before your last relationship? Probably not, because they probably grew so much. The same with you. Like, the reality is you wouldn't meet that person, you wouldn't work as well with that person if you guys both didn't have the experiences that you had.
Yeah.
So that relationship taught them, and they grew from it in the way they needed to meet you at your point where you've grown and learned what you need to from your relationships. So this, like, that's exactly the point of view you should have. It's like, thank you so much for making this person who he needed to be, whether it was through good or bad. They've learned and become the person they need to be to match me now.
And like us women, we're not actually that different. You know what I mean? Like, someone's faults, realistically, like, one woman to another woman is going to be able to notice it. So like, if one girl's able to notice it, then chances are the next girl's able to see it also. So she's going to respect the work you're doing in order to make him a better man.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, so yeah, it's just a weird point, but it's like very true.
Yeah.
Because the work you're putting on your, you know, maybe your ex or whatever, and your future person who had a relationship is doing it too. So we're actually a full community. We're actually all helping each other. We have to stop seeing it as like we're going against each other, and like we're actually fucking doing God's fucking work.
We're actually community servicing here all together.
I think I just said like, we are the world.
You actually just said, we are family. Yeah. So it's so long since I've sung in this mic. Usually I do my little singing.
I know.
So my next one that kind of goes with this one quickly is when he has a good group of friends. So that's really important to me. Like, or like a green flag for me when a guy has like a good group of friends. Because when he doesn't really have friends, or like, that's something for me. Like, if you don't really have friends, I'm like,
I'm confused.
It just makes me feel like you're going to put all your time into me, and I won't be able to reciprocate that because I do have friends and I do have like other responsibilities. So it makes me feel like the only person in your life is going to be me. And that sounds like a problem.
That is a problem.
I think people need friends. They need people outside of, you know, their partner. And that's what makes a healthy relationship. So if my man doesn't have a solid group of friends or even like good friends, it trips me out, because like, who are you going to when you need emotional support? Like, seems like you're going to no one. Seems like you're lacking something that I can't fill that void with. And I think if you try to fill the void with me, we have a problem, you know?
It's so true. Another one for me is sometimes someone will do something to you and they don't know that it's something that's going to bother you. But when you're like aware and you communicate with somebody that that's how you feel, and they're able to like respect that boundary and not do it again, then it's like telling me that you care about how I feel and you're going to change something that you know is hurting and affecting me.
Right.
So like just respecting my boundaries.
I think that's such a green flag for sure.
Yeah.
And it also shows that you're willing to, you know, sometimes we work on autopilot and we just do things the way we've always done things and we don't realize the harm in them. But if somebody can communicate like, hey, this is bothering me, and you actually can be selfless enough to be like, okay, well, it doesn't bother me, but I'll change that little thing to make you feel more comfortable. I think that's such a green flag, you know, because it just shows that you actually care about me and my feelings.
Yeah.
These two kind of go together, but taking care of themselves and also having some sort of routine, some sort of discipline, that's a really green flag for me. Even if it's like, I'm not saying you have to be a gym rat, but if you do something that's like active and makes you feel good, or like I can see that you have some sort of routine with your life, I think that's so attractive because it makes me feel like you have your life in order. You have certain things that you know make you feel good or make you better as a person. And I think that's qualities that are in like a strong person in general. And somebody who feels like they don't have a routine makes me think you have no discipline, or they're not taking care of themselves. It just makes me feel like that's how you're going to be in the relationship.
Yeah.
So when somebody actually has care for even just the way they look or just like their bodies in general, like somebody who's not like, you know, eating junk food every day or like smoking or over drinking or has discipline in some sense, I think that's really like a really good green flag for me, and just says like you're going to carry those qualities into the relationship and also be able to take care of yourself for the relationship and have discipline and have routine and like just be be the best version of yourself.
Right. Because like we always say, in order to love someone, you need to love yourself first. So showing love to yourself and doing the things that fuel you will only make you amazing in a relationship. Another one for me is just knowing how to express their feelings. If you listen to episodes before, you know I'm not really somebody who wants my man to be fucking crying. But if you know how to explain how you feel, like I hate when a guy will be like, oh, like you just don't understand. Like I can't explain it. It's like, well, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
Like, why can't you explain it?
Yeah.
You know, have you not gotten there on your own? Like, why can't you explain it? I think that's so annoying when a guy is like, I can't explain it. Like, you just won't understand. And it's like, well,
you're not trying.
You're not trying. And that's the problem. So somebody who's able to express how they feel in a mature way, fucking hot.
Yeah. Especially in the beginning too. Like that's something that we tend to think, oh, it's only going to come up like later on in a relationship, but it's little things that happen at the beginning too. Like when you're asking questions about something and they just like can't explain themselves and like can't give you reasons for certain things. It just makes me think like you don't understand yourself. You don't know how to communicate your feelings. And like that's a red flag, you know?
Yeah. And then the last one for me is they're smart with money. He kind of has a future plan. Hot.
Yeah, well, it's definitely like for me, the opposite, obviously not to go negative, but when I see a guy like being reckless with money, it makes me think like you don't really like think of like your future. You don't really like.
And as a girl, we want that support. We want to know the like, if we're carrying your baby, like we're good. Yeah. You know, I think that's the easiest way to put it. It's like we need to feel like we're safe in the relationship. And if you're reckless with your money and like you're not thinking of a long-term plan, then like I'm getting worried here. Yeah. So like very hot when a guy is like good with his money. It's hard to say careful because it's like I'm still that girl who wants a Chanel bag bought for her. It's like, but also like it's really bad too if like you're getting me a Chanel bag because you know that's what I want, but you actually can't afford it. Like I actually think I'm gonna come out here and say like I prefer you have a long-term plan than try and like impress me with a bag, but then I know you're struggling for months. Yeah. Like so only do it if you can. If you can't and you know that like I like gifts, then do little things or little gestures.
Right. Totally agree with that one. So my last green flags were just some things that had to do kind of like with dates. So it kind of goes into like being aware of your time and stuff like that. But I think, you know, just to play off what we had originally spoke about is being reliable. You know, like we said in the beginning, we're always kind of like, are they going to cancel? Like we never really know. So being reliable over and over again is just going to help us like trust in you. Yeah. Also making plans in advance. So I think that's a really green flag, especially in the beginning dating phase where you don't really know each other. You're not really like on like a regular dating vibe. But if they're making plans in advance, it just shows that like they're actually taking the time to like make that plan for you to, you know what I mean? Organize the day. Whereas if it's just like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Like, let's grab something. And sure, that's great when you guys are like dating in the dating stage.
It's so true.
It's one of the first dates and you're so casual about it. Like you haven't even taken the time to be like, what day this week are you free? Or like just haven't taken the time to plan in advance. You're just like, oh, well, I'm free now. What are you doing? That for me is kind of a red flag. So when a guy is able to plan in advance.
It's because you're almost like expecting the girl to be like free because she's more into you than you are almost.
And it also makes, when you start, like when you're with somebody like that, it makes you feel like you can never make plans because you never know when they're going to be like, hey, what are you doing later? Like, let's chill.
And like
you know
we said at the beginning, like women will block off that time because we're like expecting it. And it's like, no.
Yeah, it's the worst. So like for me, it's such a green flag when a guy can be like, hey, what day are you free this week? I'm taking you out on Thursday. Like, that's so attractive and such a green flag. It just shows like you know how to plan your time. You know how to respect my time. And it just feels a lot nicer.
And especially at the beginning, we want those couple of days to like just recuperate, be like, oh, I want to miss you. I want to see you again. That's the fun thing about dating. So I think having a plan to see somebody and like, we know like girls, we're looking forward to it all weekend. I'm sure guys too, but girls will be like giddy about it. So like, and also what I will say though, is I don't like when a guy is very like, they see you and then they like you and then they want to see you again the next day. And then they're always like trying to just like, okay, and what are you doing tomorrow? And I get it. You're into the girl and you want to see them again. But I think even if it's one day, sometimes just leave that day of mystery to be like, okay, I'm not going to right away ask you what you're doing tomorrow because like chances are if the girl's interested, she's going to kind of like clear her schedule even if, you know, so it's like give that time to just like miss each other. in the dating
agree.
stage.
It's actually on my list of like gives you space, and I think that's so important, especially in the beginning. Is like a guy who can like, you can see them, guys can have a great time, and then like you'll wait a couple of days before making new plans. It just I like that. It just shows that you have control over your emotions. Somebody who like needs to see me the next day right after tells me that like you're very like I want it and I want it now. You know what I mean?
And I
that's
also
like,
feel like
whoa.
that type of person doesn't have many friends.
Depends though. They can also just be a person who like gets into it too fast, and that's obviously a red flag. When somebody like, you know, they like you and they want to go full-fledged into it, it's like, let's take our time.
It's normally it's normally somebody who like hops out of relationships in and out.
Right.
It's
so, like,
normally those people.
Exactly.
They're like all in.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it's such a green flag when a guy does give you space. And, you know, you both know you had a good time, but we're going to see each other in like a couple of days or next week or whatever. I find that so attractive because it just tells me like, even though we're both having a great time, we're also able to be on our own. Like, you don't need to immediately see me the next day or the day after that and like need to see me again. You know, it just, that makes me feel like, not desperate, but like so hungry for affection or like attention that like you need to see me again. It's like, whoa.
It's so fucking
So like a guy
true.
who's like comfortable, like giving me my time, respecting my time, giving me my space, like that's such a green flag.
I know. And also as the days are going by that you're not seeing him, you're like reminded of the memories, and like it's like nice, you know, to be like, oh, he did that. Like, it's good. But like sometimes it's hard to miss somebody when you're seeing them all the time, or like even remember the good things they did, because it's just like you're constantly seeing them, you know?
And in the beginning, we're so like, even for girls, both like it's the nicest stage, the dating stage, obviously, because you see the best version of that person. But now if you're starting to see them every day or like consecutive days,
people are
you're
going to
start
like
realizing
people are going to be like, well, that's why I do it. I want to see them every day, because if there's things I don't like, I want to get it out of the way instead of wasting weeks.
Yes. But the reality is like, it's nice to be in that like dating stage where like you're getting to know each other. And I find when you start seeing each other too often, too soon, there's little things that are going to bother you, and you're not in the relationship enough to like actually care and like have love for them. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
there are things that are normal that are normally like, there's things that bother you about everyone, no matter how much you love them. But the reality is you tend to only notice those things once you like get closer to someone, and then you're like, okay, I'm willing to accept this. But when you show those little things so soon at the beginning, it could actually jeopardize your relationship, because it's like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm seeing too much of you now too soon. Like, I didn't get to gradually get to know you. And I think like guys shoot themselves in the foot when they try to see the girl so much, because then you're like showing too much of yourself when I don't even really know you enough to like have that connection with you, so that when I do see these little, so that when I do see these little like icks that bother me, I'm not going to be able to get over them because I don't actually like you enough yet. Does that make sense?
So fucking true. We're making that a trailer. That's so true. Well, guys,
I think that was a great
I think that was a really good episode. I think we were overall very positive.
Yeah, I tried.
We're going to reiterate that we love men. And if you don't have tattoos, don't message us.
Learn how to play a sport. Anyways, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.